So the new album is dropping in 1 hour. So I wanted to take this opportunity to, go through the record pre-release before it drops here in the States, and just let you know how the songs came to be, and then also the story of the album basically. We'll start things off with Dawn, which just got released this week. Forbes did the premiere, which is really exciting. It was one of the most exciting editorials that I've ever had. We'll start things off there. I think a lot of you may have not heard this one because it's so new. It's like less than a week old, but we'll give this thing a spin so you guys can get the gist of it. So let me make sure I can share my screen. I think this will do it. Hold on. Try this, and let me know if you guys can hear this. Did you guys hear that? Did you hear it? No. Okay. Let's try that again. Technical difficulties all day apparently. Okay. Let me try this once more. I also wanted to take this opportunity to thank a lot of the people involved with this album. Okay, let me try this really quick. Can you hear that? Okay, cool. All right. Before we get started, wanted to thank a few people. My good friend Jordan No Mana helped a lot with the mixing, and getting the songs over the finish line on that front. I had these songs written a year ago, and he was instrumental in getting them over the finish line, which is awesome. And I want to say thank you for that. We have some awesome people in the chat here too. Jacob Henry from Monster Cats here. Hey, buddy. I also wanted to thank my good friend Chris HD 422 or 4884. He is one of the 3D designers that worked on some of the 3D stuff. I'm a graphic designer, so I did a lot of the 2D stuff and the layouts and that sort of thing. But he was instrumental in the 3D stuff. And then also my good friend Future Twist, who is not here right now, but he might stop in later. He was the artist of the Fate of Us flower. So if you guys like that art, he did the 3D for that. But I just want to say thank you to all of those people that were involved, because it was a labor of love for me, and couldn't have done it without their help. So cool. Pray was done by HD. All right, so we'll get the thing started. I'm going to go ahead and play the first track, which is Dawn. Again, premiered on Forbes this week. We also played it on Group Therapy, which is a huge honor for me. And I think it's one that maybe some of you haven't heard because it's so new. But we got to get this thing rolling because we only have an hour before the thing drops. I have the Spotify up as well. We have 56 minutes. So let's get this thing going. All right, here's Dawn. Children
Another chance to recognize we're casting shadows on the night. And when the lights are all out, come alive. Together, we are children of the night. Together.
All right. All right, so that is Dawn. So a few things about Dawn. This was actually like the apex of how Contrast began. I hit a point in like 2023, and I've said this in a few of the interviews for the new record. I really hit this point of like I was writing music for other people. Like I was writing it for the algorithm. I was writing it for the labels. And I really stagnated a little bit in like 2022, 2023. And I went on a writing excursion with some friends of mine for another project. It's like a band we started. Haven't released any music on it yet, but we did this project out in the desert in 2023. And writing with other creatives with no like expectation or restrictions kind of created this like desire for me to revisit Julian Gray and reapproach like how I did music with Julian Gray, because I found myself like not happy with where I was at that point. So I started the new record really with this song. And what inspired it initially was that like leitmotif of the harp, or like the music box type sound. There's this amazing musician called Wintergatan. I did a remix for him like years ago for this song he did called Marble Machine. He has like this YouTube video. It's like a viral clip of him building this wooden machine that makes music. And so I did a remix for him, and then he released this plugin called Spiel Nova or something along those lines. I'll find the link and I'll post it in the chat. But it's an authentic music box sampler, and I started the new record with that, and that motif was really the start of Contrast. So I thought it was really appropriate for me to put that as the initial, start of the album. Then I actually decided for this new project I wanted to use my vocals, which is something I haven't done since my last Mousetrap record, which was in 2020. My Eventide record, which is another concept album I did. But I decided I wanted to use my vocals. The lyrics of the song are kind of a love letter to the underground rave scene in LA. It's about the dichotomy of like the small moments, the healing silence of the night, and like the obnoxiously loud, maybe not obnoxiously loud, but like the piercingly loud sections in like a club, like you're listening to big bangers in the club, and then you walk outside and you're like healed by the sounds of the night. And that was a dichotomy that kind of defined like the rest of the album. It was like the smallest possible moments, like orchestrated beautiful moments, and then these huge wall of sound, explosive drops. And I think that was what defined Contrast musically. And this was the first song that kind of started everything, so I decided to put it first. So that's Dawn. And we'll do a Q&A at the end where I can have you guys up on the chat and ask me questions and stuff. I also wanted to mention that whoever asked me my favorite question, I'm going to give one of these Contrast shirts to. That applies to Instagram and Discord, but I'm going to prioritize the Discord chat. So if you are watching on Instagram, go join the Discord and join into the chat if you want to ask me a question. I'm also giving away some stickers, which are these little exclusive Contrast shiny stickers. All right, so let's move on. Dawn is one that is really special to me, and I hope you guys love that song as much as I do. I think it's basically quintessential Contrast era. So we'll move along to the next song. This is Fate of Us with my friend Midnight Amity. We actually did a record. It's funny, it shows on SoundCloud as like the one of my featured songs. It was on Enhanced a few years ago called Between the Lines. Very sleeper song. I actually think it's really strong. But we decided to do a new collab for the album called Fate of Us. And we started it and rewrote it a few times. That orchestration has always stuck. We were kind of floored by like the beauty of the chords and the writing style, but the vocals took a little while to get, and the drop took a while to get. But we'll go ahead and give this one a spin.
Hate me or love me, I can't tell.
And on Instagram, I'm not muted.
Lately, feels like I'm under a spell. Tell me the truth. You made me confused. I can see it in your eyes, and it's messing with my mind. I wanna trust in the fate of us, in the fate of us. Help me, I need some persuading.
Everybody on Instagram, we're doing a playthrough of the whole album.
'Cause I'm not used to
50,
falling.
46 minutes. I'm gonna ask you questions, go over to this.
Let me be your muse, a chance to make it right, so I don't lose my mind. I wanna trust in the fate of us, in the fate of us.
Okay, so that was Fate of Us, and that one, again, features my amazing friend, Midnight Amity. She's an amazing vocalist, hugely underrated. She has some amazing music out. You should go check out her music as well. I will say there's some cool Easter eggs to this song. If you've ever seen me play live, I have this one record called Air that is kind of like the hit of the Julian Gray catalog. It's like everybody knows that song and identifies me by that song. Me and my good friend 28mm and Forts produced it. But live, there was this version that I play out. It's like this very orchestrated, cinematic version with like strings in the intro. And I always called it the Air Persuade Me remix, or the Air Persuade Me intro version. And it was actually the chords from Fate of Us, because the original version of Fate of Us was called Persuade Me, when the lyrics reflected that. And then she wrote this amazing top line, and then we renamed it to Fate of Us. So, little Easter egg, if you ever seen me live and heard like the orchestrated version, it's actually just a transposed version of Fate of Us, or like an early version of Fate of Us. I still play it. If I'm doing like a really dramatic intro, I'll play the Air Persuade Me edit. All right, so moving right along, we're about 17 minutes in, so we have like less than 50 minutes to go, almost 40 minutes to go, so we got to get moving. This is my new one with Ash Nova, Don't Go Away. It's the second to last Contrast single. You heard this probably on Group Therapy. I think it was played on Tritonal's label show, Enhanced Radio and Tritonia. I love this track. Me and Ash Nova were like trying to collaborate for years. I discovered him through my good friend Morgan Madison. Or I should say them. It's a duo. And yeah, we worked on some other stuff. There's some amazing like demos that we have that aren't out, but we'll probably release at some point because we're both in love with them. They just like don't reflect our current place musically. But we decided to start a new project, and this was the result of that. This came out probably or came together probably late 2023. And it's probably our third attempt at a collab. So I'm glad one of them finally got over the finish line. And then this one actually was kind of inspired by this newfound love I have of melodic techno, which is like a pretty recent development for me. The drop is very much inspired by like, the Afterlife guys and that sort of thing. So let's go ahead and give this one a spin. I told Crossed you should play at their fall festival for their 10th anniversary. I would love to. Let me know if they get back to you.
Oh no, what have we done? Was it a mistake? I shouldn't have stayed. Hold on, we've only begun, watching it fade. I'm losing my way. Don't go away. Don't go away. Don't go away. Don't go away. free. Don't go away. Don't go away.
Okay, that was Don't Go Away. It's one of my favorites of the album. I think it's one of the strongest songs on the album. It's one that like is getting the most traction in terms of like DJ playability and stuff. I think it's a really strong one. Some cool Easter eggs to this one too. Back in like 2023, I was really into Alpha 9, and I was listening to his New Horizons album quite a bit. I was actually supposed to be on that tour, and then some logistic things happened, and then I didn't end up doing it. But I really got into Alpha 9 during that period, and I love this record he has called oh my gosh. I'm so like in contrast mode. I can't think of other things. Final Frontier. And he uses this amazing clap throughout that album that like I could not replicate. It's like that little micro clap that's like permeating trance right now. And my good friend Winter Six, he kind of saved me, and he recreated that clap, and I've been using that clap on like probably every other song that I've been writing lately. So shout out to Winter Six. He's killing it too. He just did a record on Armada, which Armin's really supporting. And then we did that song on Mayan's label like last year or 2 years ago called The City, which is like a love letter to classic progressive house. Shouldn't be promoting my old music in this stream, but those are songs that I love. So yeah, that's really the story of Don't Go Away. Ash Nova wrote the top line. They're an amazing songwriting duo. You might know him as Greg Cigar as well. He worked on a lot of Morgan Madison's biggest songs on like Sirius XM. His duo is Ash Nova. So, and they're an amazing duo, amazing songwriting duo. They actually did an acoustic version on Instagram if you want to check it out. I think it's really cool. All right, so that was Don't Go Away, and somebody keeps bringing up in the chat that the visuals look really cool. In hindsight, I probably should have just played it off YouTube, but that's a story for another day. I went through like meticulous effort to learn like an HDR mastering workflow so that all of the visuals have maximum contrast, like full blacks, full bright, blast your eyes out. So if you haven't checked out the like visual experience for contrast, definitely check it out. I put a lot of energy into that, and we'll actually talk about the design inspiration because I'm as much a designer as I am a musician, and most of my projects are very inspired by either visuals or design. So we'll get into that. But this is probably one of the more exciting ones for tonight because it's one that nobody has heard yet. This is called Eclipse, and I've put up like little micro clips of it throughout like the past year or so. It's one that I love to play out. It's like one of the bigger bangers of the album, I think. It wasn't like single worthy, but I think it was, or maybe it was, and I just like completely missed the boat. But I was inspired heavily by Matt Zoe. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm always blown away by his like heavier dance tracks. So I wanted to try to do my attempt at a Matt Zoe. This is the only song in the whole album with a snare. So you can judge me based on that and see if you actually like it. I think it's really cool, and it's one of my favorites from the album to play out. All right, here we go. Eclipse. Okay, so that's Eclipse. I will say that is Gareth, the label manager of Anjuna's favorite on the album. He loves this one, which is very flattering. I think that this one is probably like the least contrast of contrast. Like it doesn't really have that like orchestration or like the up and down motion. I just wanted to have like at least one like rager on the album. It's really a club record, and that's the reason I really didn't want it to be a single. I'll probably do it as like a single release post album. Like I'll have just the single up, mostly because I'm like very OCD. Like I want every cover art on my Spotify individually. But that's for another time. I really love this one. I think it's one of the more catchy riffs on the album. It's also definitely the heaviest song on the album. And I just really love this song. I think I want to say I started the whole thing from the vocal hook. I found like a vocal line that I basically chopped up on an Ableton Push and like da, 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 da. And I actually am working on a live show for Contrast, and I do that live, which is like a spoiler, but I'll play the hook of the melody live. I think it's like one of the cooler, hookier parts of the whole album. So really cool. I'm actually also really proud of the build up on this one. There's a really cool thing I do where I linger on one of the really tense intervals for like way too long, so that when it drops, it really resolves. And I love that. I was inspired a lot by Matt Zoe and some of the stuff Matt does. So that's Eclipse. This would be a good opportunity to talk about the visual direction. If you read the Forbes write-up that Lisa did on me, we discussed it briefly in there, but I actually came up with the visual direction of the whole album kind of around the same time that I came up with the musical direction. I was at the Broad Art Museum here in downtown LA, and I love to go to art museums as like inspiration for my design specifically. And I saw this exhibit they had on Ellsworth Kelly, and they had some artwork there that was designed to kind of vibrate your eyes and make them uncomfortable, is the best way I can say it. And it's what inspired that whole like two-tone, like hurt your eyes contrast. And I think that is reflective of the music too. There's like two completely different themes that work together in some weird roundabout way. And that's what really inspired it. So I'll have to pull up the artwork later maybe and show you like the source of the art direction, but that was really the core of it. And then it sent me down the rabbit hole of like 60s band posters and stuff. There's a lot of really awesome art that used that in like the psychedelic era, and I wanted to bring that forward to like the EDM world, which is something that we don't really see very often. So yeah, that's the art style of the album, and I'm really in love with that. There's a lot of like true darks, true bright whites, and then like a lot of really conflicting colors that hurt your eyes kind of, but like in a pleasant way is the best way I can describe it. So next up we have this song called Pray. This is another one of my favorites from the record. This is actually one that I sang. And I think that this one is like probably like the farthest from my comfort zone that I went on the record. On this song, I actually sang, and it's a little bit more like sensual. I was inspired by like Depeche Mode and like In Excess. I was trying to do something a little bit more like sexy, which is like totally not me, but I wanted to like try it. So Pray is me trying to do like a personal Jesus from Depeche Mode, kind of mixed with like the new energy of like Casablanca and Justice and those guys, that more aggressive sound. All right, here's Pray. Let's get this thing a-rollin'.
can be your only one. You've been holding on for long. Say what you mean to take, all that you mean to break. Do you have a taste? Your salvation.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so that was me trying to be Depeche Mode, slash Casablanca, slash like NXS, some of my favorite bands. I think that this one is really, really powerful. It's probably like the heaviest track. It actually started as a collab with Forts. We were co-writing on it, and then she actually, really great for her, but unfortunate for the album timeline. She got pulled into League of Legends. She did the theme song of this year's campaign of League, and she had to go and tour in China. So she couldn't finish the record in time. She actually did finish the top line, and we're going to use it for another song. So you will eventually hear like a version of that. And maybe when that song comes out, you'll hear like me talk about how it was the original top line for Prey. But then I decided to write a vocal for myself. And again, it was inspired by the Depeche Mode and stuff. I was really into that sound for a minute. Quite like the lead on this one. I think it's incredibly catchy. And I think that the drops really hit like a ton of bricks. And that can be attributed to No Mana. Again, if you guys are producers and you need mixes, I work with Jordan on like a ton of different client projects and then my own stuff too, because he is the king of low end. I think that he makes some of the best sounding, like, smack you in the face bass. So yeah, I think that's one of the heavier songs of the album, and rightfully so with the theme. It's a very like sexual song or like sensual song. And I think that energy is strong. One of the cool things about this one is a really neat synchronicity. I was putting this track out, and then I got offered to do some music for a TV show in Japan. So I decided I was going to go out to Japan for like 2 weeks and then, write some music there. And just so happens that it corresponded with the release of Prey. So in some ways, the Prey like rollout campaign, I don't know if you're watching per se, was very Japanese inspired, like, because I was in Tokyo and Shibuya, and it actually reflects the song really well, because I have like a demon mask as like the cover, kind of inspired again by like In Excess, like Devil Inside, and those sorts of classic 80s new wave songs. And it worked out really well, because like the art was all like Japanese demon themed. And then I happened to be in Tokyo, and then I played a show in Tokyo with Paul Thomas, and it was amazing. The song went off, and couldn't have been more like perfect universal synchronicity. So yeah. And yeah, Michael Hutchence is like one of my heroes. If you don't know In Excess, you should. I know they're not as popular here in the States as like elsewhere, but one of my favorite bands, one of my mother's favorite bands. If you didn't know, my mom was a new wave raver in the 80s and 90s. That's how I got into it. All right. The next one is a really special one. This is Out Here with Richard Patrick of Filter. And when I met Richard Patrick, I was like 17 or 18. I had just moved to LA. I was sleeping on a floor with a guy I met online, and we were crashing together. And I did like the Hollywood cliche story of moving out when I was like in high school and then sleeping on a floor until I got signed and the project took off, which was, obviously not guaranteed. And I'm very thankful that everything worked out. But Richard had discovered one of my tutorials on how to make like sound design. I think it was like a res sound design tutorial or something like that. I was pretty affiliated with Mousetrap by that point, so I was doing some tutorials in that sound, and he discovered my music, he discovered me, and it turns out we live very close to each other out in Simi Valley, and we had this really like strange, like unexpected friendship, and he kind of took me under his wing in some ways. And the original version of Out Here is really special to me because this song has made it through like 3 scrapped albums of mine. Like I've written and scrapped like 3 full-length LPs over the years. And this is the only song that's like lingered and persevered through all of them. And it's changed, of course, to accommodate the new sounds that I've been working on. But it's just a really special song. And then, of course, his affiliation to Filter and 9 Inch Nails just is so cool. I'm still like pinching myself that I got to collaborate with him, like somebody I used to watch on MTV. So here's Richard Patrick and my song Out Here. He did some cool guitar stuff, which is more subtle in the background. And I think that's really appropriate given that he's a guitarist and was a guitarist in 9 Inch Nails. So here we go. We don't have too much time. We have like 15 minutes-ish. So let's get through this one.
I want to stay out here.
How's it going, Instagram?
Tonight.
You're getting the exclusive dialogue in between the playback on Discord. But if you want to ask me a question or tune in, check out the Discord link. It's in my bio.
To stay out here tonight. I want to stay out here in the stars.
Okay, that was Out Here with Richard Patrick. Yeah, some of you have pointed out the bass line. I think it's like the coolest part. That and the top line. This one again is like from 3 albums ago of scrap material, so it's kind of reflective of an earlier version of myself, which is kind of cool. It was like the only song that I recycled from like the archive and brought into Contrast Era. I think that it's a really nice like poetic motion too. Like as this album was like me revisiting my roots and trying to get out of like a point of feeling trapped in the music industry, going back to music that I really loved and I really enjoyed writing with no stakes was profoundly exciting to me. I want to say that, ironically enough, I think that some of the influences for this were Deadmau5, especially with the polyrhythmic bass line. He's like one of the only people I know that do that. And I've had a lot of comments about how cool it is. And I want to say like the gravity of it was actually a No Mana record, Nostalgia Drive, which I think is a very underrated song in his catalog too. Very heavy, very unconventional in the way it's produced. Like the bass is very forward and anchors the whole song. And it hits hard, but it's like not at the same time. It's a very special one. I think that back in the day, like 2018 or 2017, when I started this, I was probably a reference that I used. So very cool. And it's exciting and kind of full circle that Jordan worked on the mix for this one in that way. And yeah, nothing like a polyrhythmic bass line. Going back and revisiting this, I'm like, man, I need to do that again. I think it was like one of the cooler things I did back in the Mousetrap era. So we got about 10 more minutes until the drop. As you can see here, if you haven't already, go pre-save the album on the Spotify or what have you. I don't know if you can on Apple, but we have one more song to go, which is another really special one to me. We'll get into that in a moment. But yeah, I thought I'd mention the cover art. I wanted to do something super minimalistic and super iconic. Some of my favorite arts ever are like basic geometric shapes over black, and I just wanted to make my debut album something that I considered iconic, and maybe when 20 years from now when I look back on it, I see that. Sorry to everybody on Instagram who can't see my screen. You can tune in on Discord if you want the context. But yeah, go pre-save it, and we'll all listen to it 50,000 times on midnight. But yeah, we have one more record to go of the album, and then we'll do a Q&A maybe across the finish line of like when the album comes out. And your questions, I'll answer all of your questions about the album, and then also some of my favorite questions, I'll give you some merchandise. Okay, so the last record, oh, you're seeing the wrong screen. Interesting. Gotcha. Well, this whole entire time I've been showing the wrong screen. Well, I don't know how to switch that. Oh well. You'll see some sort of roundabout way. I don't want to change it now because then the audio might get jacked up. But nice. So last song was Dawn, and this one actually was the last addition to the album. It's a reprise of the first song, and I really like cyclical albums where the last song revisits the themes of the first song. And I wanted to do something. I noticed in the winter years of the album cycle of writing it that there was a lot of bangers in a row, and there wasn't any like introspective interlude type projects. And I've kind of been known in the past for doing those on my other albums like Eventide or Autonomous, and or EPs I should say. And I wanted to make sure that I was really telling a deeper story with the project, and instead of just bangers, I wanted to have like a nice like closing sentence to the story. And so I wrote Dawn Reprise, which is a revisit of the Dawn theme. One of the cool Easter eggs of this one, it's inspired by some of my favorite musicians. I actually caught wind of like a leaked version of Porter Robinson's Language. And I know the ethics of leaking is not necessarily appropriate, but just as a musician appreciating another musician's work, I heard a leaked version of Language with like extended vocals of Language. And if you know that song, it's like this iconic hook. And hearing more of it than just that one line was really eye-opening for me. I was like, oh my God, this is like part of the story that I never understood. So Dawn, I actually wrote like a whole nother verse, or like a whole half a verse that didn't make it into Dawn. And I was like, it would be really special if I can somehow incorporate that line into a reprise. So it's like the full story. I know it all exists within the same album, but I thought that was a really beautiful touch, that, it's finishing the story. So let's listen to Dawn Reprise, and then I think that will bring us right to the midnight countdown. All right, here we go. Dawn Reprise. And this is a slow one. How's it going, Cody?
Another chance to recognize.
We're doing a playthrough of all the songs
we're
on
casting
Discord
shadows on the night. And when the lights are all out,
how's it going? Ice Sick 90.
come alive.
Dude, good to see you.
Together, we are children
Man,
of the night.
Full album's dropping in 5 minutes.
Together, we run in circles from the light. Another sleepless moment.
Thank you. Yeah, new album in 5 minutes.
Another healing
Playing all the songs from it.
silence.
1 year in Discord.
'Cause we're friends of the moon. The dark we're holding on to.
This is the finishing song. Thank you.
Another sleepless moment. Another healing silence.
2015
Know
EDM
we're
Facebook Ross.
coming undone.
Thanks about the ABGT mix. It was awesome.
In the
Discord.gg/Ray. If you want to join.
of the dawn.
All right. So that is the conclusion of Contrast. We're right on time here, like 2 minutes left until the end. And yeah, I think those of you watching on Discord and Instagram can identify that's a very special song for me. It was inspired by my friend Matt Lang in a lot of ways. It was inspired by John Hopkins in a lot of ways. Really influential songs or writers to me for this song, and also just as a writer in general. I'm especially proud of this last resolve here. I use a lot of like atmospheric tension with noise and that sort of thing, like John Hopkins did in Singularity a lot, and I imply in the music this cool, like really tense chord for way too long, and it recontextualizes the words. If you know the original Dawn, I don't do this like really sharp minor chord against that word. and then you're expecting that resolve, and then it comes in the form of this really beautiful major chord, which is the last chord of the album. So, and with that comes like a resolution of all of the noise in the background and the tension. It's trying to make the ultimate contrast of like intense noisescape and then like beautiful orchestrated chords. So that's Dawn Reprise, and that is Contrast. So I hope you guys love the album as much as I do. I think it's really special. I want to do a physical release of it soon. I'll keep you guys posted on that. I think that it's one that I want to invest the time into designing a LP or something. So, and thank you guys for listening throughout the campaign and also like, you know, sticking around through it. I know that like it's been rolling out for like 7 months or something. So seeing it come to the finish line is really exciting for me. So I wanted to have you guys come up and ask me any questions that you want. I'm not exactly sure how to do this, but one of my moderators, Storm, was saying that you could like raise your hand and then like come up to the top. If any of you guys have questions for me, especially on Discord, you can ask them. But first, we have 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys. Contrast is yours, and it's no longer mine. I love the idea of you know, the songs are no longer mine. But yeah, guys, on Instagram, I'm going to end the stream here, and you guys can go and join us on Discord if you want. But yeah, thanks for watching on Instagram. I'll see you over on Discord. And yeah, on Discord, thank you guys for tuning into this as well. So let's go ahead and take some questions. I'm not sure where to see where people are raising their hands. Oh, there you go. So Dead Pixels, I guess, will be our first question. Here, how do I do this? Bring you to the top. There we go. How's it going, man?
Oh, hey, what's up?
Good to see you.
Wait, I think I'm echoing a little bit.
I'm not hearing an echo from you.
Oh, for me, I hear like, oh, it's like really bad.
Oh, sorry. Do you have a question?
Yeah, what was, is there any synth that you used on the album that you thought was like really influential, or was it more or less just like anything you found that sounded like it would fit?
I think that one of the more influential instruments was Spitfire BBC Symphonic Orchestra, which is like probably not the answer you wanted to hear, but a lot of orchestration in this record, and that was like instrumental. I would say like the synths, a lot of Serum, a lot of Arturia Pigments, and that sort of thing. I think those were my two biggest used synths. I guess I could stop sharing my screen now if that's looping back around. I'll stop sharing my screen. But yeah,
It might be that.
Yeah, I would say that those are like my my big instruments for this record: Serum, Pigments from Arturia, and Spitfire strings, which is actually free, so you can go and grab that. All right, thanks for the question. All right, we got another question from Penultimate. Let's bring you up. Storm, do your thing. Hello.
Hey, man.
How's it going?
Going pretty well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm elated to have this out.
Congrats. Yeah, it's huge.
Thank you.
So do you have any particular system to how you chose the colors for each song? Was there like, I don't know, with the darkness of certain songs, choosing colors, or I don't know, how does that work? Because that's just really cool that you have them all different.
Yeah, I didn't initially have like a vision to like which palette fit which record. Initially, I just kind of found my favorite color palettes that would work within like the contrast theme. And I assigned them to the songs. early in the process, but as it went along, I think that the color palettes of each song kind of informed the way I finished each song.
Cool.
Yeah. I will say the one that sticks out to me in that front is Dawn. I've been building this live show that you guys will see down the road a little bit. And there's like this really cool iconic moment in the Dawn performance. And I think that, to me, like that black and white, like intense difference of the brightest bright and the darkest dark is very thematically appropriate for contrast. And also for Dawn specifically, because it's such a small to big song, that maybe that one is the most reflective of the color palette. But yeah, the colors, I didn't necessarily choose them for each song. I kind of just like arbitrarily did it initially, and then the songs kind of inhabited the colors.
Okay, cool.
Great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Sean. I think I can move you up. I'm not sure how to do it. There you go. How you doing, man?
Yes, sir. Good, brother. How you been?
I'm good, man. Do you have a question about the new record?
Yeah. What's giving you all your inspiration for all your great tracks that you've been releasing? What gives you like the I don't know, what's your best like inspiration? What draws you to the sounds?
I would say for this album, a lot of it was a lot of the Anjuna output, Casablanca, Alpha 9, but there was also a large degree of just rediscovering my core sound, the stuff I really loved writing like 10 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, and that I don't want to sound like too philosophical, but one of my biggest influences for this record was just myself in the past.
That's great. Great.
Yeah. And some of my favorite, some of
Yeah,
my
that's
favorite
awesome.
artists. Yeah. Great
Yeah, it's
question,
always-
man. Yeah.
It's always good to go back in the past and find yourself from where you came from and what inspired you. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for the good question.
Yeah, brother.
Cool. All right. Forsetti, you're up. How's it going?
Hello, my friend.
My good friend Forsetti.
Long time no see.
I know. I saw you yesterday. How's it going?
Last night.
Yep.
Good. I've a couple questions about the live show. First of all, since you've been working so much on that behind the scenes, we haven't seen too much of that. Are there any songs that came about while working specifically on the live show that didn't make the album that you might play live eventually?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I finished the music for the album like probably 8 months ago. A lot of the rollout has been the slowdown. So there's definitely songs that I've written since doing the album that I plan to play in like a hypothetical live version.
Cool.
I actually have one coming out in a few weeks. It's a remix for my friend Halion on Ophelia, that I think is very contrast era coded. And also, it might be a good opportunity to announce, like, I think that this is like the base contrast lineup, and I want to do like an extended, like, deluxe version with a few more songs. So I think that that'll happen in the next like 6 months or so. There'll be a few more songs.
Sweet.
Great question.
And also, since it seems like you want to start doing more live show stuff with contrast, any plans in the future to continue writing for live shows? Non-contrast stuff?
I kind of see, this is my partner Kitty, by the way. I kind of see contrast era as like a larger era than just the album. Like, it'll permeate beyond the album for the foreseeable future, until I get sick of the art style and then I want to try something new. So in a lot of ways there will be like more to contrast than just like this initial run. And a lot of the stuff I'm writing is still like kind of in the lane of contrast. So I think that the reason I'd refer to it as an era is because it's not really just an album. It's like this is the starting point of a larger thing, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love to hear that.
Thanks for the question, man. Great question.
Of course. Congrats on the album.
All right.
It's amazing and inspirational.
Okay, I think we have time for one or two more if you guys have any questions. If you want to come up and chat. If not, oh, Storm, how's it
I
going?
moved myself up there. I don't think I can raise my hand.
No worries.
Yeah, doing good, dude. So, I'm not sure how much you want to speak on this, but I just had a question. So, you were sort of talking about finding a place for this entire album, and kind of struggling to find that until you decided to bring it out on Gradient.
Yeah.
Something like that. What was your sort of like? So self-releasing is much harder than just handing it off to a label and giving it to somebody. What was sort of the things that you did to sort of like in the background meant to promote? Maybe not even the stuff that we saw on Instagram or like or Twitter or anywhere else. What kind of stuff were you doing in the background to get that out?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just for context, for those of you who don't know, I did pitch Contrast, like an earlier version of it, to a lot of different labels, and there was interest in individual songs, and like people wanted, like, I want to sign Pray and Don't Go Away, but I don't want the others, or like I want Fate of Us but not this song, or what have you. And I learned like very quickly that that's not the approach that I wanted to do. I wanted to keep it all together as a body of work, and the body of work to me was more important than like the amount of work it would take to do an indie, and then also like the potential of promotion. So I then decided to do it as a Gradient record, and it's actually a huge blessing because it's really elevated the label in a lot of ways too. There was a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes that, you know, you don't see when you're like a consumer of things, but like when you're an artist and you're promoting a song or an album, that goes into play, especially if you're running a label. Like we do promo blasts, which basically sends the songs to all the DJs. That's how you get it in the hands of like Above and Beyond and Tritonal, and I think Gabriel and Dresden played it, and a handful of other artists. We do like distribution deals for radio and that sort of thing. We're actually about to launch a new Gradient monthly series. I guess it's fine to announce we're going to do an Insomniac Gradient crossover radio show launching later this month. So you guys can look forward to that. It'll feature all of the Gradient artists and myself, of course. Promotion blast to Spotify, reaching out to Spotify support, and like with our distributor, and like there's a lot of stuff that goes into an album if you're not running a label, or if you're not running through a label, and that's like a huge part of it that maybe you don't see as a listener. So thanks for like, acknowledging that, because it is like a really difficult part of putting an album out. Yeah. But I think that, with the right strategy and a fair amount of like promotional budget, you can like push an album yourself. And I think that this is a good indication that I can do this indie without needing like an Anjuna or a Mousetrap to push it.
Yeah, I think right now sort of indie is sort of like, it's really up and coming, and it's starting to take everything by storm, and you'd be like really surprised. Name drop.
We're in a climate now with social media and stuff where if you have a viral song, you don't really need a label. The label is less leverage than you do. So it's really just about like making really good stuff and releasing it, and then finding people that like it. So
yeah,
that's what I'm trying to do. Thanks.
One smaller question.
Yeah.
How are you feeling after this? It's all out. It's all done.
I feel amazing weight off of my shoulders, mostly. This has been in the queue for like a long time, because we announced the first song like November or September of last year, and before that obviously was like 6 months of like design and prep and that sort of thing, and it's finally good to see this off, and for it to be you guys' music now and not just mine. It's really special to me. So thank you for listening, and Yeah, and thanks for asking. That's a great question. Might be a
I think we
contender
can-
for a winner. I'll decide in a minute.
Don't. I've already got that shirt. I'm wearing.
Oh,
it right now.
okay. Well,
yeah.
I appreciate it.
But I think I can speak for everybody in here when we say that it's been an absolute pleasure to watch you grow these many years through. A lot of us found you with Mousetrap.
Thank you.
And through Dead Mouse and everything like that, and the way your sound has grown since the beginning to this contrast, which is just like a culmination of everything that you've learned, is just incredible. And dude, it's great to be able to be here and watch you do this. And
thank you so much for that. I appreciate those kind words.
Yeah, no problem. All right, I'll get out of here before it gets all
awesome.
emotional. Bye.
I'll address I am Emmeline's question. Will you have a YouTube behind the scenes video for any of the tracks for contrast that may include the writing, interviews with Midnight or Ash, or insight into producing of any of the tracks? So this is actually like a really topical thing right now. The worst timing of my life, probably. I'm actually moving apartments tomorrow. So we're moving the same day that I'm releasing an album, which is like absurdly stupid. But it was like the album was in line, the promo was prepared, like the Forbes article was prepped to go, so I couldn't like move the date. And like the apartment was like, well, you have to lock in this day or we can't like lock you in. So I'm actually moving tomorrow into a nice place that's like bigger, and I'll have a bigger studio and creative space that I could I can work better in. And I think a new creative space always is inspiring for me for YouTube videos. For those of you who have been following me for like years, like a decade, you'll probably remember I was a YouTuber first. And, I gradually got out of YouTube and started to do my music project full time. But spaces like that make me inspired by the video creation process again. So like every time I move into a new space, you'll notice like a huge jump of my video output on YouTube. Like when I moved into this space, I had my studio over there in that corner, and it was like really inspiring and beautiful, and like I wanted to shoot a lot of stuff, so I did like some of my more iconic videos like during that period of time. And then as time goes on, I fizzle out again. I'm like, I'm not really interested in YouTube. But in the new space, I really want to do two things. I want to make a video for each of the songs of this record. So like explaining how I wrote the songs. I think that I'm overdue for that, and a lot of people used to really care about those videos. And then I also want to do like a proper like Julian Gray start to finish course for my patrons or for, just people to watch. Because I feel like I really have a lot I could teach still. And, the YouTube format of just like 2-minute videos is not like super conducive of getting knowledge across these days. So I want to do like a full front to back, tour, or I'm sorry, front to back tutorial on how to write music. So that's like in the cards as well. So you can expect that as well. Yeah, I remember the old LA house tour way back. Yeah, it was such a good time. So I think that'll wrap it up for the question period. I think I'm going to award the art question because Storm already has a t-shirt. I'm going to award the question about the art from Penultimate, the giveaway of the contrast shirt. I actually have the Fate of Us shirt, which is the orange and blue, and then I have the long sleeve Out Here shirt, and you can pick your poison on that. And then also any of you that tuned in tonight, if you send me your information, I'll send you some stickers because I really appreciate all of you being here. And you can go and spread the Julian Gray joy and word. So send me a DM with your address and I'll send you some stickers for free. How about that? All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Go and pre-save and stream Contrast 75 times tonight. It's a given. That's what you have to do. You have to turn the volume off or very, very low and play it on loop. All right. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I think this is a good opportunity to wrap the stream, but thank you for listening to me ramble about my music for over an hour. And yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing some new stuff with you. There's even more cool stuff coming in the queue. The radio show, some cool guest mixes, the live show, of course, and you'll see that soon. But yeah, start that contrast loop. Let's get it to 1 million streams tonight. Hell yeah. All right. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. And yeah, I think that'll wrap this thing up. Cool. Love you guys.